All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a 49er video. And make sure you check out Pig and a Pickle. Two locations. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin County from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. And they're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville inside the Emeryville Public Marketplace. All right, let's talk a little 49ers here. The 49ers are an interesting story from the standpoint of they annually or perennially have a very deep roster. And yet it seems like, they've been in 3 of the last 4 NFC championship games. They've been one of the NFC's true contenders, really most of the regime of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. And they have some of the best players in all of the NFL. When you think of, they got the best left tackle in Trent Williams. They got 2 of the best receivers in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. They've got arguably the best defensive end in Nick Bosa. They've got some of the better linebackers in Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. I mean, the 49ers have a lot of top-tier players, and they have picked at the back of the draft most years. And in recent years, they actually didn't pick at all because they traded those picks to trade up for Trey Lance. And yet they maintain one of the deeper rosters in the NFL. And it seems like it's one of the deeper rosters in the NFL each and every year. So how are they doing it? And when you look at exactly what their key to success is that the 49ers they find starters on day 3 of the draft. They find starters as undrafted free agents. And it's not like 1 or 2. Try 20 or 25. And that's how they've maintained one of the deepest rosters in football, despite having some of the best players in the game and always picking at the end of the draft. Let's review 2017. 49ers get George Kittle in round 5, DJ Jones in round 6. And if that were enough, 2 starters on day 3, for most teams, that would be enough. But that's not where they ended. They got Matt Breida as an undrafted free agent, college free agent. And they got Kendrick Bourne in the exact same way as an undrafted college free agent. So you got 4 starting caliber players right there, either on day 3 or after the draft. All right, maybe it was just a lucky year. Let's go to 2018. Once again, 2018, they do the same thing. Kentavious Street, who's not an every down starter, but he has started for the 49ers at times. He's now moved on in free agency. DJ Reed has become a starter in this league. Very valuable player. Guy that I'm sure the 49ers wish they'd kept. Round 4 for Street, round 5 for DJ Reed. And that year after the draft, they found Jeff Wilson and Ross Dwelly. Now, I don't know if I would consider Dwelly a starter, but he's definitely a contributor. Jeff Wilson, I would consider a starter. That year, they also got Emmanuel Mosley as an undrafted free agent. That's pretty good right there. So 2018, 4 or 5 guys there. We'll call it 4. We'll say Dwelly wasn't really a starter, but Street, DJ Reed, Emmanuel Mosley, Jeff Wilson, all day 3 or after the draft. Let's go to 2019. Mitch Wishnowsky, round 4. Dre Greenlaw, round 5. Kevin Givens, undrafted. Azeez Al-Shaair, undrafted. Those are 4 guys who have started games for the 49ers that are undrafted free agents or day 3 picks. Let's go to 2020. Colton McKivitz, round 5. Juwan Jennings, round 7. That year they also picked up Jermichael Hasty, who's moved on now in free agency. But, we'll call it two starters between McKivitz and Jennings on day 3. 2021. Diamador Lenore, round 5. Talanoa Hufanga, round 5. Elijah Mitchell, round 6. I mean, do you see what the trend here? 3 guys right there who are starters for the 49ers, starting caliber. We'll say Mitchell's a starting caliber player. We know McCaffrey's the starter, but Mitchell has been the starter. So Mitchell, Hufanga, and Lenore in 2021. Let's go to 2022, last year's draft. Spencer Burford started at right guard. They got him in the 4th round. Samuel Womack has starter potential. They got him in the 5th round. Brock Purdy started the whole second half of the year. He was a 7th round pick. Then you got a couple guys in Marcelino McCrary Ball, who I think has the ability to be the strong side starter this year. And Jordan Mason, I definitely think is a starting NFL caliber running back. That's 5 guys that they drafted or picked up on day 3 or after the draft that have starter potential. That's a lot of talent. When you really look at it, we'll go down the list here. Just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We won't count Jermichael Hasty. We won't count Ross Dwelly. 22 players, the 49, and that doesn't even include Raheem Mostert, who was a starter for them, but they picked him up before the Shanahan and Lynch regime began officially, so we won't necessarily credit them. But I'm just saying, the 49ers have gotten a ton, an absolute ton of talent after day 2 of the draft. There are people that say, I just watched the first round, the second round, third round, it's not really worth much. The 49ers have done this from the 4th round on. In the last, 6 drafts, they've picked up 22 players. 22 players in 6 drafts that are starting caliber players. That's impressive. That's why they're on top. That's why today the 49ers are the NFC favorite to go to the Super Bowl. Despite the fact that they pick at the end of the round most years, despite the fact that they have a top-heavy roster with some of the NFL's greatest individual talents, they have done it on day 3 and after the draft. And credit John Lynch, credit Adam Peters, credit their entire scouting staff, top to bottom. All right, that leads us into 2023 and the whole topic of this video. Who this year, drafted on day 3 or taken after the draft, is going to somehow emerge as a starting caliber player for the 49ers in the years ahead? And now that we know that 22 guys have come through this portal, if you will, and found their way to the starting lineup for the Niners, it makes you look at these guys a little differently, doesn't it? Because you look at these guys and you say, well, wait a second. This happens, if that happens, a break here, a break there, things bounce right. Some of these guys they drafted or picked up as undrafted free agents could wind up being starters. Now we're talking about 18 players. We're talking about 6 players that they drafted from the 4th rounder on, and we're talking about 12 undrafted free agents. And let's go through the list and let's see how many that we actually believe here in late May of 2023 actually could emerge as starting players. All right, the ones that are no doubt for me, Darrell Luter Jr., the cornerback from South Alabama, round 5 pick this year. I think there's a very good chance Luter even beats out Diamador Lenore. I would not be shocked by that. Luter is a very mature corner with a lot of skill. Now, Lenore is a tremendous young player too, but Luter has the kind of look that I don't know if he'll be a starter this year, but I think he's an NFL starter. So that's one. D. Winters. Now, Winters to me has not looked great in the OTAs or the rookie minicamp. But you know what? He was so productive in college, and he's just such a tackle machine. He runs well. He's got great instincts. I could easily see him emerging as a starter, even though right now he may be carrying some bad weight. He may have a difficulty transitioning to the NFL. He needs to get in ultimate great shape and see what he's got this summer. But I'll throw D. Winters on that list. Braden Willis might be on that list. Braden Willis has shown a lot of receiving skills in the rookie minicamp and then the OTAs. He's got great ball skills. He's a tight end who can catch the ball and is kind of fearless running over the middle, and is a try-hard guy who will give you a lot of second and third effort. He'll twist and turn and fight for every yard. He's a competitive guy who will block. Underrated blocker, I think, considering he's not the biggest guy. I could see Willis, emerging this year as the number 2 tight end on the roster to George Kittle. And if you told me down the road he could emerge as a starter, I wouldn't fight you on it. A guy that I didn't like on draft day, but have loved ever since I saw him is Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell has elite ball skills. He's not the biggest, he's not the fastest, but so neither is Cooper Kupp. And Cooper Kupp's the best. You could argue Cooper Kupp's the best receiver in football, and he ran a slower 40 time than Ronnie Bell, and he's basically the same size. When you watch Ronnie Bell at Michigan and you watch his highlight reel, guy's got ball skills. And in the rookie minicamp, he demonstrated those ball skills, and then he doubled down in the OTAs by making some amazing catches. If you told me that Ronnie Bell was going to take Juwan Jennings' job and be the slot receiver down the road, wouldn't be totally shocked by that. So I'll throw Ronnie Bell. So we got Luter, D. Winters, Braden Willis, Ronnie Bell. That's 4. The guy that really surprised me is Jalen Graham, the 7th round linebacker out of Purdue. He looks really natural. He was very productive. He's very smooth. He's got good measurables, very productive player, multiple year starter. If you told me Jalen Graham emerged as a starter, I wouldn't be shocked. Let's go to the undrafted guys. The 2 guys that really have stood out to me so far are Spencer Wagee and Deshaun Jameson. Jameson's a corner / return man from Texas who's 5'10", 185, 190. He's a killer returner, though. And I could see him being their number 1 return man. I could also see him being a starter at corner at some point. He's got good skills. Jameson's interesting. Then there's Spencer Wagee, who's, 300 pounds, but gets off the ball incredibly well. Wouldn't shock me if he emerged. I mean, the motor, the talent, the get off, the hand placement, it's all there. It's all there. So he looks impressive. And there's probably another guy or 2 on this list. Maybe it's Ronald Awatt, the running back from UTEP, who, if you watch his college film, he looks terrific. Maybe it's Kalen Laburn, who was a 5-star recruit in high school, started off at Florida State, transferred to Marshall, had an incredible senior season where he had 300 carries, averaged over 5 yards a carry. Maybe it's Laburn. Maybe it's Awatt. Maybe it's Joey Fisher, who they spent a lot of money on out of Shepherd to sign him as an undrafted free agent literally minutes after the conclusion of round 7. Maybe it's Ilm Manning, who I thought looked really good in the workouts. Now, he's not a left tackle. He played left tackle at Hawaii. I don't think he's a left tackle in the pros, but maybe he's a guard. Maybe he's a center. You never know. Maybe it's Avery Young, the safety from Rutgers, who moved exceptionally well, I thought, for a guy who ran a 40 time in the 4.7s. That's a slowish 40, but if you watch him on the field, you don't see a 4.7 guy. He plays faster than that. So, you never know. Maybe it's Jack Coletto. Maybe it's Isaiah Winstead. We don't know. But I will say this. Take a long look this summer if you're in 49er camp or if you're watching in the preseason for these round 7 guys. There's 6 or round 7. Day 3 guys, round 4, 5, 6, or 7. They didn't have a 4th round pick, so they got 2 5s, 1 6, and 3 7s. Take a look at those day 3 picks. Take a look at those undrafted free agents and just say to yourself, in the last 6 years, 22 guys who were day 3 picks or undrafted free agents emerged eventually as starting caliber players on one of the deepest rosters in the National Football League. And then take a closer look at these guys because you know what? History tells us that there's going to be some combination of 3 or 4 of these day 3 picks or undrafted free agents from the 2023 draft class that are going to wind up as future starters for the 49ers. It's really impressive. And once again, credit to John Lynch, credit to Adam Peters, credit goes to the Niners scouts and their personnel evaluation people. It's one thing to sign a free agent to a big money deal and hold up a jersey at a press conference. It's one thing to, guess right in the first round. But man, when you can consistently produce NFL starters from day 3 of the draft and with undrafted free agents and round 4, 5, 6, and 7th round picks, personnel, and you're doing a hell of a job. And you know what? As somebody who knows a little bit about player personnel evaluation, I tip my cap to Lynch. I tip my cap to Peters. I tip my cap to all those scouts who beat the bushes and filed the reports and stayed up late and drove by themselves on lonely roads, going from town to town, looking at college football players and trying to unearth gems under every rock. It's a hard job. It's a lonely profession. It's not glitz. It ain't glamour. But at the end of the day, the 49ers are the favorite today to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. And it has a lot to do with their top end talent at the top of the roster, but it has just as much to do with the 22 starters that their scouting staff has unearthed on day 3 or after the draft. And I tip my cap to them. Thank you for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube. Check out our sponsor, Pig and a Pickle. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.